welcome to Absolutely. We have no name for this anime manga podcast. It's the Untitled Show. Hi, I'm Benny, and this is not anyone that you guys recognize. His name is Kevin. He's actually one of the editors for Comicstorian, Ben and Friends, the gaming channel, and he is the genius behind Mangastorian, the other guy that thought of it initially.
I mean, I made the videos.
Right. So if you're wondering what is going on, we here at Absolutely thought it would be fun. I watch a lot of anime. A bunch of us watch anime. Dan and Hudson do. No one else does. So that's still 3/5 of the team watch anime. We used to have a channel called Mangastorian, which some of you may recognize. Mangastorian was a creation that I came together with Kevin here for, where we would basically take the way that I do the audio dramas for comic books and do it with the manga. And we started it, 2015, 2016? Mm-hmm. It was a while ago. We launched that channel. It was doing amazing. We covered Berserk, Attack on Titan. We even covered Monster Musume. We had guest voices coming in to do things. Everything was going great. We were doing a great job with it. And then one of the companies in Japan was unhappy with what we were doing, and they copyright striked the channel, and they removed it. Now, this was after it had already become so well. It was doing so well. There was, 3 of you guys on it at that point. It was you, Jamie, and I thought you had one more guy.
We had Octopimp, remember? We had.
Oh yeah. He was on it too.
We did some voices with. He did Yu-Gi-Oh, and he did the monster one because I
couldn't do the monster one to make it sound
the monster one. He did it. He nailed it, man.
So we did those projects, and that was like, okay, cool. This is going well. And then the whole channel got shut down because copyright laws in America are not the same copyright laws in Japan, and there's no way to even contact the companies in Japan and get that taken care of. So we lost Mangastorian 1.0. And it was very disheartening for all of us on the team because it was doing very well. We were excited. We were having a great time with it. So that kind of disappeared. 2020, we launched 5-6 projects over at the Comicstorian company. And one of them was, let's try Mangastorian 2.0, but we're going to re-upload old videos to try and get back the old audience, but we won't re-upload the ones from the company that copyright striked us, because only one company hit us. So the idea was, what we'll do is we'll transition into a new style where we use far less panels and we do far less of that kind of thing, but we'll re-upload some of the old videos so that people can get access to them again. Because we were trying to get them up on Patreon for Comicstorian, and that was working. But, I mean, if you signed up for Patreon, you had the playlist right there, that if you came a month later, finding that playlist was impossible. They just continually get buried over and over and over. So we didn't like that system either. So we relaunched, and we were doing good, and it was finally gaining steam, and we had the new style in place, ready to go. We were doing new stuff, and one of the other companies came through and had the whole channel taken down. So Mangastorian 2.0 died, and the Patreon system is not working well, and we couldn't figure out what to do with Mangastorian. So we were talking here at Absolutely of doing an anime podcast, and I was like, Kevin still is on the team. He's still available. Why don't we make an anime manga podcast that Kevin and I can host? We could rotate in Dan or Hudson when they're available and they've caught up on something. And if they like it, we could eventually create something else out of Mangastorian. But at least we could still have some place to talk about our weird anime that we like to watch. Right?
Yeah. I mean, oh man, it's been a wild ride, that's for sure. And it's just it kills your drive to even want to start it again when you put in so much hours and everything dies. So we'll just start it, and we're starting off smooth, nice and easy.
Which brings us to today, which is just episode 0, because we haven't figured out a format for the show. We've been talking about it for 3 weeks. And finally, I just said, let's make episode 0. It doesn't have a name, we don't have an idea, and we don't have a plan.
0. I like it. I like the sound of it.
We're just going to talk about the anime that we've been watching and kind of go back and forth with that, talk about some of the manga that we've read recently, and we'll take recommendations from the audience, you guys watching the show, where it's going to be posted and all that other stuff, as to what you'd like to see come out of this. And the end goal is that hopefully this podcast can gain enough traction, and I'm going to do some manga shorts on Comicstorian, that we can maybe make another Mangastorian. But right now, all we have is this podcast. So if you go asking, where can you find Berserk? It's on Patreon somewhere. I don't even know how you could find things on that Patreon.
We've got a Mangastorian Patreon where it's all there. So
okay.
Well, most of it's there, right? There's some things that are missing. Like people keep asking, what about Tokyo Ghoul? Let me tell you, it's been like 7 years or something, 6 years. I don't know. It's been some years, right? So like 5 years. I don't even know now, but I saved almost everything, but
yeah, I mean, you got to think when we normally make these videos, they get thrown up, and if we need to get them again, we can just download them from the channel. We don't normally plan to have a backup storage.
Yeah,
I know you saved a bunch.
Almost every video I've ever
Yeah,
made.
it's like you were saving them, but we don't plan for that normally. We plan to have the YouTube as the archive. We can just download them. That's what we're doing in the full story channel. We're just downloading them. No one has
I also moved a couple times too, so data kind of gets lost and transferred. Computers die.
Yeah.
So that one computer did die, and I think it had stuff on it that I needed, but I can't get to it anymore. So
we thought it'd be fun to finally have a podcast where we discuss what happened to Mangastorian, so that people know why it vanished. We're still watching and reading. It didn't end because we lost interest. Trust me.
Yeah, it's just.
I'll admit it here. I think I read more manga than comics at this point.
I mean,
I think I do.
I mean, that's pretty good. It's just, we'll start slow and we'll go from there, right? Because
take it slow, get back into it, get back to talking about it, and that's why we wanted to kick this off. We just wanted to talk about, I mean, you've seen me talk about the various anime that I've watched all across the other shows. Why not make a core show? Plus, here at Absolutely, we're continually trying to make shows that don't require a show to be out on Disney Plus. An issue we run into, Kevin, is we'll be covering Loki and we'll be covering WandaVision, and then when the show ends, it's like, what do we talk about until the next one comes on? So we started making a lot of these shows that can exist without needing a show to backbone it. So
okay,
yeah.
I mean, we could talk about anything really.
Yeah, that's the goal here. That's the goal. So let's just kick it off. Kevin, you and I haven't talked about. I wrote here what I've watched. What have you watched most recently? It doesn't have to be in the last day or two. But
you did write what you watched. It's been a little while since I really watched anything because I just don't ever watch shows. I think the last show that I watched was King of the Hill, so that gives you an idea of.
Really?
Yeah.
How are you always talking about the anime then?
Well, because I still like it, but it's been a while, right? So it's. I think the last thing that I was interested in that I was watching was One Piece.
Yeah, I remember you binge watched all of One Piece and like all 900 something episodes.
Oh, yeah, well, it was easy because I just do it while I work, and you can watch in English, so I just throw it on the screen, and at work, and that's it.
Yeah.
But
I do remember when you started it though, you hated One Piece. You're like, this is terrible. And
I hated.
There was like a progression of hate to tolerating to getting really into One Piece.
Yeah, there's a progression system, right? Okay, so like nowadays you can watch the East Blue movie, right, and get like basically everything you need all the way through a good portion of the beginning part of the story where all of the crew comes together. Initially, it was like I watched the original old version with like the really old animation style, and I was like, man, these guys look like sticks. Like, I don't know, kind of dumb, but I watched it and I finally got through it, and I'm like, okay, and now I see why people like this. Now I see why this is a good story, because it's a good story. The characters, the story. But nowadays you can just watch a movie and skip so many episodes that you can kind of start in a good spot. There's ways to skip around it now, but
okay. I might have to take your advice to that. I did Google it. I was like, maybe I should get into One Piece now that they're finally coming to a conclusion. And then I saw how many episodes there were.
Yeah, like, you can skip through like the East Blue movie they came out with, that one. You can skip a good bunch of like beginning episodes, the ones that I didn't like personally starting.
Okay.
Because you'll see,
like,
I'm
having such a hard time getting through My Hero right now, and I love My Hero, but it just goes through so many ebbs and flows, and it's only 120 episodes. I can't imagine trying to get 900 of One Piece knocked out.
It's different for you, because I spend a lot of my time in the computer.
Right.
Like, so I always have something going. But, you typically take the time to watch something, or if you happen to be at the computer, you'll watch something, right? But
that's how. Yeah, I've been watching My Hero when I go to the gym. I pop it up there and I watch My Hero that way.
So that's a great example, right? Like with me, I'm usually here doing something, but you're usually like you said, working out or something.
Yeah.
So it's a little different, and that's why you can't plow through them, or you don't plow through them as much.
Well, the issue I run into, at least with My Hero, is My Hero goes through these points where it's like crazy epic 15 episodes, giant fights, rescuing people, things are happening, and then they stop and they're like, here's 10 episodes of them just going to school. You know, I was watching one episode today. They're prepping for the sports festival right now. I'm 20 episodes before I'm caught up and I can move into the manga finally. And they're going to the sports festival, and they're talking about the sports festival, and the episode opens up with, yay, normal school stuff. And I'm like, yay, normal school stuff.
I
Can
know.
I skip normal school stuff?
Honestly, dude, like school anime, anything with like high school and stuff like that in the anime, really, I don't like it. Like it's so dumb. But I get why it's so big in Japan, because school is in academics is a huge part of their life. It's a huge part of the culture. So I get it. But for me, as someone who watches anime, I don't want to listen to that all the time. So I totally get that, because like I'll stay away from an anime completely if it has to do with school. But I've learned to give things a chance before especially with anime, because they'll try and sell you on something and then they'll be like, but wait, it's actually a really good story.
Yeah. I mean, with My Hero, I'm not a big fan of the school portions, but you kind of got to get through them to understand what's going on in the big portions.
It's like when they do the hero training and internships. Together.
Yeah, it all comes together. The sports festival is probably going to be boring, but it looks like it's only 8 episodes, and they introduce the gentleman villain, or like gentle villain, I think he calls himself. Like, he's been introduced now, and I looked it up.
Explain to me where you're at right now.
We just got out of Eri. Eri and Deku just had like that crazy ultimate form he basically got, because he could endlessly keep amping up. And so Eri, they got her in the hospital. Night Eye has been, without saying it, he's been unalived. And we're back to Lemillion and Deku are going to bring her to the festival. And they just introduced the gentleman villain.
I know where you're at. So yeah, it's a lot of, there's a bit of character settling they're doing here, right?
Yeah.
They're going to do some character stuff, and then you're going to move into the next big thing. And you'll know when it happens, because it's like, oh, like something's about to happen here. But
and I've bought all the volumes of the manga, so I can catch up all the way to the manga to get current. And then we just subscribed to Shonen Jump, because I didn't know that there was a subscription to get current chapters of everything. So we just subscribed to that, so I could get all the way caught up. I just got to finish the anime. And apparently the anime is true to the letter for the manga, because I pulled up the manga like, where
almost
it's like it's almost perfect. So
they switched it around, right? So oh man, I can't spoil it, but there's something they switched around between the manga and the anime, and that's how we knew that it was going to be like they were going to stop before this big thing happened. So
I'm excited to get caught up, but I've been trying to. I just find, and I don't mind watching things like the sports festival. I just find those ones, my brain doesn't be like, we got to go watch more. But like when Deku was fighting with Eri and like Lemillion and the whole thing's happening, and I'm like, okay, we're gonna keep watching until this fight's over. Maybe that's why I like Dragon Ball Super so much, because they just focus so much on the battles in that one.
I had actually read Dragon Ball Super recently.
Did you? I caught up on it?
I am not completely caught up, because I had to put it down, because it was like so they've done the Moro arc, which you probably don't even know what the heck that is. There's a whole...
I actually looked up that manga to see how far ahead it is now. I'm looking it up now to get that ordered, because I got to talk about some of the manga that I've been reading recently, but I'll figure we'll get to that.
So they did the Moro arc, okay, and now they're doing another one with it's kind of going into the past of Goku, right? And his dad, Bardock, and and what Bardock did to save all these people and all this stuff. But I don't know how to feel about it.
Well, now I got to get caught up so we can talk about it here. This is why this is episode 0. This is mostly what we've been doing, so we can get caught up and talk to you about current stuff. So,
just Vegeta attains Ultra Ego. I love your reaction.
What's Ultra Ego?
Exactly. This
Is it just ultimate like classic Vegeta? Because I like
to not
Vegeta more than
spoil
Goku.
too much, if for people that this is a little while ago, right? So this is even like when I decided to put it down. This was happening. Vegeta kind of went back to his little more. People kind of miss the old Vegeta, the original OG, where he was like coming down to Earth trying to kill everybody, right? Or
Right.
you know, he kind of harnesses that a little bit. That like raw Vegeta-ness, I guess, and that's like he obtains this. He's using like he's being trained by Beerus, right? So he's trying to harness destruction powers, right? So this is like a new form thing. I don't know, it's weird, but it's like a new form, but it's really weird. I'm pretty sure it's hard to tell, right? Because we're assuming it's gonna be like a purple, like, you know, he's got purple, or you know, like the old school.
Okay. So what I'm hearing is I got to get caught up in My Hero ASAP, and I got to get caught up in Dragon Ball Super ASAP.
Dragon Ball.
Because I saw it here on Shonen Jump. That's because now that we subscribe to Shonen Jump, I'm looking at what's currently going, and that's when I realized one Spy Family is still going, Spy X Family, Super is still going because they're like July 24th, July 20th. One Punch Man is still going. I haven't read One Punch Man since you and I were doing it on the Mangastorian channel.
A lot has happened. Like there's the old world apparently, so that's a thing.
Okay, and then there's a new one that I've been digging. I wanted to get into. Kaiju number 8 is still going.
Yeah, you know, they're gonna finish Black Clover.
I was never into Black Clover. Isn't that one that's been going on forever?
I love that. I love it. It was, you know, it was just so good, man. I don't know.
I couldn't get into it when I was a kid. I remember that one's been around for a while.
Well, it's that one came out. That one's kind of newish. It's in the 2010s. I can't remember when it came out exactly.
Oh, I'm mixing it up with Black Butler. That's what I'm mixing it up with.
Yeah. It's the whole like Naruto like magic one where they're like they have magic and the Wizard King. You know, it was great. It just had so much action in it, and I loved that. I need more. Less sitting around doing nothing, talking about our feelings, and more beating the living crap out of each other.
I mean, I think that's what slows me down in My Hero, because it goes to like 90 miles an hour, and then it's like, all right, now we're all gonna have we're gonna find out what everyone's doing in the school. We're gonna find out what they're all hanging out with. What have they been up to?
Yeah, I think it just sucks because like One Piece conditions us for all of this. It really does. It's a trickle down, right? Because One Piece, you know, it's got over 1,000 episodes, right? And it's like, what is in between all of it? It's like, here's the fight. The fight is like, you know, this portion, but here is the story, the whole picture. But the fights and everything that lead up to it are just so good that you're like, oh, all right, I'm fine. The weight.
I mean, that's kind of what Dragon Ball does, especially when you go to the classic Dragon Ball Z filler episodes where you're like, oh, we're learning how to drive. Why?
I'm a little disappointed with the direction Dragon Ball's going, and I'm a huge Dragon Ball fan.
Let's talk about that real quick, because that's been a point of contention I've noticed since kind of getting back into covering all of this stuff, like way back in 2017. Dragon Ball Super versus Z. Like, there's people that are just shitting all over Super, and I love Z, and Super does not beat Z. But Super is better than GT, okay? Like, Super's not terrible when we compare it to the other things that have been created. Let's just
GT
cover that real
great.
quick.
GT wasn't that great.
That's what I'm saying. Like, nothing stops Z. Z's amazing. I love Z. I love classic Dragon Ball too. I'd say for me it goes Z, Dragon Ball, then Dragon Ball Super. But Super's still up there. I want to watch it and read it. It's not out of like, screw this. How do you feel overall about Super?
I think the thing is, when they did Super, like when they first started Super, there's a big change. So like the way you can look at it is like the beginning of Super, where it was like that crappily animated Super Saiyan 3 Goku fight on King Kai's planet with Beerus. That was super bad. They actually went back and redid that, by the way. But they started with different colors there, and that was a big problem because it was very, very vibrant for early on. And then later on, once we get into the Tournament of Power, and like they started trying to change it in the midway, but once we get to the Tournament of Power, they changed the color grading, and you'll notice around that time that things started looking a lot better. Like just those colors being off changed the entire look and feel for the entire show. So they scrambled to try and fix that, brought in a new guy to change the colors and stuff and change a little bit of how they were doing things. But that aside, and I have mixed feelings about it, right? Like the Tournament of Power was cool. The problem I have with Super is that there's too much. Let's bring back the nostalgia. Let's bring back this. I'm tired of the kind of crappy stories being weaved. It's like Tournament of Power was all right, which led up to that was all right, tolerable. Like there was really cool moments, right? Like the new Goku using Kaioken again, like, and he was juiced, right? And like that, there's really good moments, but sometimes, most of the time, they're not that great. And the smaller stuff is kind of like just don't try and do that, but they do it anyways. But at the same time, you know, it's not terrible. I enjoy it because for the first time in like 18 years, I'm finally excited about a new transformation or a new fight, right?
I don't know what's come after Ultra Instinct, because I caught the show, I read the manga before the show, and then I kind of stopped reading the manga because I was like, well, the show, I'll just finish here. And
well, not really much has come out after that. It's more of like, I think the moral arc was Goku training to learn how to actually do Ultra Instinct when he needs to, kind of thing. So we've gotten to that point where he can do it whenever he wants, but now we're experiencing in the current part of it, like, oh man, I just like, I don't want to talk too much like about what's going on currently because I don't like it that much, right?
Okay, so, well, I'll catch up when we can have a full discussion in it. Like I said at the beginning, guys, if you're still wondering what they're kind of rambling, we're trying to feel out this podcast, see what you guys like and what you don't like. So once again, please let us know in the comments down below what we could do to improve about it, where you want more focus to be. Classic stories like what we're doing now, or more current stuff. And I do want to talk about some of the more current stuff I've watched, which is still not even like super current, because we're going to start trying to figure out how to get that stuff over here. But, well, I guess one of them is. Anyway, Natalie and I were looking for so my wife doesn't like anime, but what I realized, Kevin, is that it's not that she doesn't like anime, she's not a fan of shonen.
Oh yeah, most women
makes
aren't.
Sense. Yeah, which makes sense. And I was trying to explain to her that there is other anime that isn't shonen. So she's been watching a ton of K-dramas. And I'm like, that's basically live action anime, because I watched one with her and I'm like, this is just live action anime. Like, you do what you can with live action versus anime, but they're very similar in plot, like the way they structure them out. So we were trying to find a show that she could enjoy and that I could at least deal with. And I actually really dug it. My Dress Up Darling, which I mentioned to you, and you're like, you're watching what?
Yeah. Well, I know what it is. I mean, you know, I've watched some weird stuff, man.
I mean, it's a good show. I liked it a lot. My only problem with it is and I get why they did it. It's a slice. It's a moment of these two's lives. And then it just ends. Like, there's no giant resolution. There's no like, oh, they're all gonna, like, it's just, this is a summer that the two of them are working together, and you get to see how their friendship develops. And the summer ends, and so does the show. And like, it's like, and I don't want to spoil too much in case you haven't watched it yet, but it's a great story about a guy who's basically closeted. He's like closeted in his house. He doesn't do anything. He's not social. He loves to dress up loves to dress up dolls. They're a specific type of, I think, Hino something dolls. He likes to dress up a certain type of dolls, and she wants to get into cosplay and doesn't know how to make outfits, and that's where their friendship comes from. And that's the show. No one gets in a fight.
Yeah, and you know, sometimes we're in the mood for those things, right?
Yeah.
So I mean, if they can get you with a good enough story or something, like, something's got to grab you, right?
Yeah.
Like, it depends on the person too. Like, sometimes I can watch shows like that. I didn't watch it, but I've watched enough clips to get an idea of
I mean, a lot of the clips just kind of tell you what's going on. You don't need anything crazy. The show doesn't take any wild turns, but it's a really good watch. I liked it a lot.
It's just like a different pace, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
But it's funny because so she watched that, so we started looking for other shows for her to watch, and that brought us to Konosuba. Because she's like, I've heard about it, and she likes the idea of an isekai, but she doesn't like fan service.
Did you guys actually watch it?
All of it.
Did she like it?
She did, but she doesn't like darkness because the fan service just gets too much with darkness.
Darkness is like a little much. Yeah.
Yeah. Darkness is like a different level of fan service, but she got into that show. She really liked Konosuba, and it got to the point where even I was like, when they would say Konosuba in the title, like Konosuba, like it was. We were just having a great time watching that one.
That's good. Yeah,
which
that
led
was a good show.
Yeah, Konosuba was a great show, but that's still an older one. And then that has led us to watching the Rise of the Shield Hero, because I was trying to find a more serious isekai one, like. That was not so goofy, because Konosuba is more of a parody of the genre.
It's probably a decent one to start with.
No, it was fun. We had a blast with it, but the Rise of the Shield Hero is very serious. The action's incredible. The music's awesome. It's on season 2 right now, and so far we're really digging it. I think we're on episode like 7 or 8 right now. Have you gone through that one yet?
Yep. People really dig the, underdog rising to the top.
Yeah.
So
well, you can't get much more underdog than his situation right now.
Yeah, yeah, and I mean that's a good plot point too, especially if you make the story good. And it's got waifus and everything, so it hits on these little markers that everyone seems to like. And
I think she's enjoying it because the fan service isn't too crazy. We just got past the hot springs episode, and I'm like, and there's the beach episode.
There always is. Yeah.
She's like, yep, I saw it coming.
Yeah,
where like suddenly out of the blue, the Philo and I can't pronounce her name, the raccoon girl. What's that one? Do you remember?
Yes, but
it's like Ratsatu or something weird. It's either way. Both of them are suddenly really interested in mating with the main character. And I'm like, that came out of left field.
Well, yeah, you gotta turn up the horny knob real quick on that episode.
But yeah, we watched that one, and we're also watching, which is a current show, so we are still current on certain things, Spy X Family or Spy Family or Spy Cross Family, however you want to pronounce it.
Spy Cross Family, yes.
Have you checked out? Have you seen Spy Cross Family? Kevin?
I actually have not. Nor I think the most I've watched of it was like the intro, right? Like the credits.
I really recommend this one because it kind of hits a lot of it. So the concept is simple. I don't know if you follow the concept. You got the spy guy who's the best in the world, okay? You have the best assassin in the world, and you have a girl that can read minds.
Right.
And he's trying to get at a target who the only access he can get to him is in a school and then getting close to the family through the school. So what he's been tasked with doing is adopting a child and getting married, and it just conveniently happens that he adopts the telepathic girl who's 4 years old, and he gets married to the assassin, and no one knows the other ones can do things except the telepathic girl.
Right. Yeah, I've seen
and
some
insanity ensues.
some pretty great pictures though from those characters, the faces.
Yeah,
I'm a face enjoyer when it comes to like anime. Whenever they make weird faces or stuff, I love it.
Yeah, it's a great show. I do recommend it. I've got access to all of them now. You can use on the company dime, so you can watch anything on all of the services now.
Oh yeah, I used to pay for it, and then the whole Funimation Crunchyroll thing happened, and I'm like, you know what? I don't want to think about it right now.
Yeah. Oh, I had to get them both. They're not separate. Trust me. They're not together. Trust me. I was looking.
They were supposed to be. I don't know why.
They're not. They're not together. They're supposed to be together. I don't know what's going on. And to make things even more confusing, some shows are on both. Some shows are still only on one or the other. Like Dress Up Darling is on Funimation, but Crunchyroll has Spy Family. Like I don't know what they're doing.
Well, so there was a studio, right? The Funimation studio that was like responsible for doing like dubs of stuff, and they were hauling ass on those dubs for a long time. So I don't know if like it's a thing, it's like a contractual thing with them, so they can still continue to earn money or something too. I don't know.
Okay.
That's kind of what I'm thinking, because they have all these voice actors on speed dial, right? But
yeah.
Are we who's paying them? How are they getting any money from doing any of this stuff anymore? I don't know. That could be something to do with it. But they don't tell us anything, so who knows? We don't know.
Yeah, it's weird. It's just weird, in my opinion.
The problem with anime and manga in America is that it's too corporate Japanese.
Yeah.
The way they try and sell it to us, everything. Like I have a lot of issues with it, just because it's like there's no room for it's a similar vein to how like comics are. You know, comics can be difficult for people to get into because of the stories, right? And
can be, because they're insanely difficult at this point.
If yeah, exactly.
Just
right.
Fun tangent for you guys, because I mean, we do tangents here. Normally when I link something to Kevin and it's not like just the next issue of Batman, I have to link him the issues, because telling him something like, this is Batman Superman, World's Finest, means nothing.
Nope, because the book is actually called Batman Superman, and then they explode, and then space. You know, it's just something completely different. It's like, what? Wait, okay. Oh yeah, somehow it's categorized like this. Like the names are completely wrong.
Yeah.
So
and we've had incidents, so we've had to kind of correct how I recommend them to the guys to do the books.
Yeah.
Manga's a lot more straightforward, and that's one reason why I enjoy it. It's also easy for me to get into, because I can easily go, without having to know a ton of knowledge, just grab a book and I'm at the beginning.
Yeah. It's they've made it okay with Shonen Jump. I think it's just Shueisha's, man, they're just so crazy about their IPs. I don't even know how to, like, you can't do, they don't really do a lot of anything else outside of just Shonen Jump and like the very few manga you see in the bookstore, which is unfortunate. Maybe I went in there at a bad time, but the last time I went to a manga store, man, the shelves were so small, like there was like nothing.
Oh, if you go to Barnes & Noble now, we were there the other day. They got a ton.
Actually increase it, because it was
the issue we have
pathetic.
now, though, is most of the volume 1s are gone. So unless you've read it somewhere else, you can't start the series. They've got 2s and 3s and 4s.
You have to
only.
order it or something online. Yeah.
So, but that's where I am with current anime, and we can get Kevin to watch some, but we don't want to start watching everything on this list, because we have a master list of what's currently airing. So we wanted to continue watching what we want to watch, and we wanted to get what you guys think we should watch, so we can kind of give reviews and discussions on those.
Well, Rent a Girlfriend season 2's on. People love that. I don't see here's the thing.
Dr. Stone's still going. Isn't that like super far in?
Yeah, I watched the whole first season of Dr. Stone. I like the idea. It might be better read, to be honest. It might be one of those things that are like better because, they're trying to fill a whole episode, and it's like the pace is kind of like slow, right? Yeah. So I feel like it might be one of those series that I would enjoy better reading, because when I watched it, it was cool. I like the whole science, the primitive science, whatever, but it's kind of boring for me. I've realized that I need a lot of stuff going on to keep my brain occupied.
Okay. Our chat has recommended JoJo, and Kevin is a massive JoJo fan. It's like one of the few things he collects.
So, man, they didn't say anything about when the next part for season 6 is coming out. Like, what the heck? It's on Netflix now, by the way. And I know, I saw it. I was going to watch it. But I don't know if I want to get into the JoJo craziness fandom. No, it's man. I would say watch One Piece.
All right. Well, I did want to also
though.
talk about manga. We're going a little bit longer than I thought, but this is pretty much a ramble anime manga video. But I wanted to say something. So Persona has a manga, Persona 5 the manga, and it has a game. And Kevin, I am 50 hours into the game right now, and I'm maybe halfway through.
Sounds about right for a Persona game, yeah.
And I'm enjoying it. This isn't like I'm complaining. But I've lost track of where things started. I started reading the Persona manga, which is still ongoing. They haven't even wrapped up the classic Persona 5 story, apparently. So it's still going, yeah.
Huh.
But what they've done a good job of
Strikers.
in the manga, apparently still going. In the manga, the main character talks. So it actually adds a lot more character, and they do a great job of following the plot, but like laying it out better. Like you don't have to go into the palace 9,000 times. You go in one time in the manga, because they're just banging it all out in a hurry,
Okay.
So I do recommend the Persona manga, but there's a recent one that just started coming out, and I don't know where to read the current chapters because it's not on the Shonen Jump, apparently.
For what?
Yakuza Reincarnation.
Oh no.
What?
It sounds weird. Are they
It's not as weird as
Yakuza, or are they getting reincarnated in a world of Yakuzas?
No, so I actually didn't buy this one. It's got a cute girl on the cover, and Houston bought it, and it was just sitting on the coffee table, so I read it.
Wait, what's it called again?
Yakuza Reincarnation.
Oh no. I'm gonna look it up.
Yeah.
I haven't heard of it.
So Yakuza Reincarnation, the plot is this old retiring Yakuza guy who doesn't like the young bloods basically dies in like this final fight with some of them. They're just pushing him out, okay? Mm-hmm. And he's got some kind of goddess tattooed to his back, but apparently so does the princess in another universe. So it's an isekai, but this old man gets reincarnated as this like young princess with no memories of the princess. He's just in her body. And she's apparently dead from what like the intro of the book makes it sound like. Like her soul's gone.
Okay.
And so immediately he just tries to act like he's Yakuza, but in a world where they don't expect this.
Yeah, okay.
It's really interesting because like she has a town where she was trying to like reinvigorate, and there's a guy pushing drugs through it. Well, he recognizes the drugs immediately as just like cocaine. So he's like trying to mess with all of that stuff that's going on there.
I see.
But he's trying to do it in a good way, but it's really good. And then what it turns out is in this world, it's almost classed like a video game kind of a thing. Like, oh, you can use magic or you can use sword stuff. And the weird thing about his situation is he has her original skill tree, but his as well. So he's got like crazy power compared to anyone else in this like tiny princess's body.
I see. Yeah, I just skimmed through the whole first issue. I read the first issue.
In that time.
There we go. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, and
I'll have Kevin bring them home to you. You can read them tonight, okay? I'll be happy to bring them home, not you.
I was gonna say, wait a minute. No, I actually, that's kind of interesting. He's a Yakuza guy, and the dude he's fighting, he jumps off of a bridge. And the dude sees his back tattoo, and he's like, "You saw the Tenyo?" And then he just jukes him off the bridge, and then that's when it happens, I guess.
Yeah. It was a weird premise, but I'm actually really digging the plot because now they've gone to like the Elf Town, and they've done a bunch of different things in there as well. So I do recommend that manga. There's another one that I'm reading, which I don't know if it has another part to it yet because it kind of wrapped up its entire first arc. That I got by mistake I just got it because it looked weird. And I can never remember the proper name of it. It's level 1, is it like...
yeah, you were telling me about that one.
Yeah. And 1 room... There it is. Level 1 Demon Lord and 1 room hero. So the concept is like Dragon Quest. They won. The Demon Lord sealed forever. Okay? Demon Lord awakens 10 years later instead of the 100 he's supposed to be out. And he decides he's going to go challenge the hero again to a rematch. And his like... He looks basically like they're 10 years old. Like, okay.
He's a little midget demon.
Right. And comes across the hero who lives in a 1-room apartment. It is like the outcast of the nation because he's always caught in tabloid bullshit. And all the heroes have dispersed. It is just like 10 years later if they didn't do anything with this fame. And so the demon decides to move in, and he's going to train the hero to be able to fight him.
It's a 7C. It's published by 7Cs in the U.S.
Is it? I know Volume 4 ended the entirety of the first arc. Like, it's all wrapped up. You don't even have to read anything else. A few things they were dropping hints at are now coming forward. But the whole main story has been wrapped up.
I'm looking at some of these covers that
you see how it got my attention? You see how it got my attention?
Yeah, I see how Volume 2 may have gotten your attention because
But I think that's a good place to end our current first discussion. We can talk about current news. We can talk about shows we're watching, current shows. But we really need to know what you guys are looking for in an anime podcast. Because every podcast is different. And you know what we do here at Absolutely. So we definitely need to have this. Also help us name it. Because right now it's just called Absolutely Anime and Manga.
Episode 0.
Episode 0. Reincarnated. Rebirthed. Superhero.
From the ashes.
All the subtitles.
I think doing new stuff would be good.
Yeah, I'd love to do new stuff too.
Well, at least have a segment for new stuff. We don't want the whole thing to be about new stuff, but I think
Yeah.
Yeah.
But that's where we're at today, guys. We are absolutely. I'm Ben. That is Kevin. And we will see you guys next time right here. Thank you.
Bye-bye.